Hi, welcome. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Welcome to the 2023 Tribute Awards. I'm Kai Rosenthal, one of the co-presidents of the League of Women Voters of New York City. Your attendance today is a huge vote of confidence for the League, and you know we love votes. We actually applaud any kind of civic engagement, and today we are honoring 3 women who have made civic engagement part of their lives and part of their business practices. One of our honorees has said that too many corporations just give lip service to social responsibility. We would like to help change that. And today we are here to honor these women who have fully embraced creating civic impact. I look forward to your questions for our honorees. But first, I'd like to introduce and thank our dedicated League Board members for their work this year. Please raise your hands. Second, a very special thanks to our volunteers on the Development Committee for making this entire event happen and for assembling a wonderful collection of auction items. I want to recognize Susie Gomes, our VP of Development, and Barb Eddington, who chairs the committee, for their tireless organization and leadership. Each of our honorees have contributed to the auction. You'll see ride vouchers from Lyft, a generous gift certificate and styling session from MMLaFleur, and a signed basketball from Jonquel Jones, the WNBA 2021 MVP, who just joined the New York Liberty. Yeah. Please check out the auction and make your bid soon as it closes tomorrow. But remember, your donations will work all year. Thank you.
Good morning. I'm Deb Brodheim, and I am the other co-president of the League. I would like to thank our sponsors for today's event. Without your support, we could not continue our work. People are often surprised to learn that, that our funding doesn't come from the government or from civic agencies. Our funding comes from our members and from supporters like you. Please help me thank them, but if you would hold your applause until the end as I go through the list. There are a number of our members: Ruth Altman, Laura Quigg, Amy Matthews, and Charlotta McCaskill, somewhere behind there. There we go. And our corporate and foundation sponsors: Bloomberg Philanthropies, BSC Global, Con Edison, Ernst & Young, Nielsen, Partnership for the City of New York, Principal Quest, Pure Insurance, WABC-TV, and the WNBA. Thank you so much. I'd also like to thank our advisory board members who do so much in assisting us in raising funds and also advising our operations. Can I ask you to raise your hands, please? Thank you. And special thanks to Molly John from Ernst & Young and Marilu Galvez, President and General Manager of WABC-TV, as well as her amazing team at the Disney Networks and ABC. It's that team who has helped us to create the following video.
The League of Women Voters of the City of New York is an all-volunteer-led, nonpartisan organization marching forward to promote informed and active participation in government. For over 100 years, our volunteers have been the heart of the League.
The League.
I am the League.
I am the League.
I am the League of New York City, and I help get out the vote.
We register voters, we train, we mobilize, we host candidate forums and provide accurate election information.
I am the League of Women Voters of the City of New York, and I monitor the Board of Elections.
I am the League.
I am the League. I am the League of New York City,
and I develop civics education programs.
We empower by informing. Monthly speakers address hot topics. Workshops enable New Yorkers to understand how city government can work for them.
I am the League.
I am the League of New York City.
I am the League. I help our members meet our legislators.
We advocate, we call, we stand up, we speak out.
I am the League.
I am the League.
I am the League because I believe voting is a right, a privilege, and a joy.
We are the League of the City of New York. Yay!
I am the League of New York City, and I'd like you to join us.
That was awesome. Hi, I'm Barb Eddington, and I am the League. Can I hear everyone in this room say with me together, I am the League? I am the League. Awesome. I would love to give a shout out to Shelley Warwick and to WABC-TV for doing this amazing video. Thank you so much. I'd like to also give a shout out to Andrea Zuckerman and Susan Gladstein for doing our e-journal. I hope you've had a chance to look at that. That was beautiful. Pat Manning, I forget where you're seated, but thank you for all the work you've done on our auction and for bringing the beautiful flowers. Thank you. I'm going to ask for your support now. We hope to raise close to, maybe we can hit it, $10,000 in the next 4 minutes, okay? I want everybody to find your paddles. They're on your chairs, and distribute the pledge cards that are also on your tables, because we're going to be active with these things right now. Well, what would the League spend this money on? You've just seen that we do a lot on a shoestring, but we need your help to help us lace up our boots. I'm going to ask for your help at 3 different levels. If you feel comfortable at that level, please raise your paddle. I've got my counters around the room, so we'll be counting how many paddles are raised at each level. The first level, I'm going to be focused on 3 things. The first thing I want to focus on is what we can spend our money on, because we want to focus on closing the gap between registered voters and people who vote. Did you know that we have almost over 90% of eligible New Yorkers are registered to vote? 90%. Do you know that only 30% come out for local elections? We're focused on that gap. And we think these 3 things that I'm going to talk about today will help us focus on that gap. We think that people will come out to vote if they feel like their vote matters. So we want to help do that. We think if they get involved, if they get civically engaged, if they understand how their local government works for them, they will see that their vote can make a difference. So the first thing I want to do is talk about enhancing, like significantly enhancing, our civic education workshops. I'm going to start at the $1,000 level. Imagine if we could give videos like this for the workshops. Imagine if we could do them in different languages. Imagine if we could translate all of our materials. Imagine if we could recruit multilingual facilitators to do workshops around the city. For $1,000, I'm going to start by calling out Shelley Warwick again, who has already given us a pledge at $1,000. Shelley, could you raise your paddle and show people how this is done? Awesome. Do I have anybody else at the 1,000 level? We got over here. Awesome. Awesome. Anyone else? Oh, my goodness. Thank you so much. That is awesome. Thank you. You can put your paddles down. Make sure you make your donation. There's a QR code on the back of your program, or fill out your pledge card and we'll help you complete your donation. My second thing I want to talk about is this book. This is called What Makes New York City Run. This is the foundation of our civic engagement workshops. This is a textbook that is used by CUNY students. we got an order for this, like 100 from a high school in the Bronx just the other day. We give this to every city council representative. It was written by one of our very own, Adrienne Kivelson. Adrienne, are you here? No, not here today? Okay. She's amazing. She wrote it many years ago. It's been through many updates. And now we're going to be updating it again with the help of Doug Musio. Where's Doug? I saw him today. He's back there. Doug Musio. Doug is one of our beloved advisory board members and professor of political science and an expert on city politics. He's going to lead our group through the update of this. But imagine updating this and having it in multiple languages. This is what we're talking about. How do we make this happen with your support? So at $500, can I see any hands raised for the 500? Oh, I got a couple right off the bat. That is awesome. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Thank you so, so much. Next level, I want to talk about, it'll be a 250 level. You know, getting people engaged. There's so many New Yorkers that want to do something. And especially when it comes to presidential years. That's when we get overwhelmed with calls. People want to do something. Help us be that something. We desperately need to buy and install software to automate our system to get those volunteers in, to get them signed up for our amazing trainings, and then to deploy them to thousands of places around the city. With your support, we can get that software that we really need. Anybody at the $250 level? Awesome, awesome. Look at that. That is so great, so great. Thank you, they keep going up. Please make your donations using the QR code. If you can't do it right now, fill out your pledge card, we'll help you do it later. Last level is all in. This is where the dream photo I've been thinking about for months, okay? We're all gonna raise our paddles because I'm gonna ask all of you to support in any way you can, whether it's at 100 level, 50, 10, even if you promise to talk to your friends and family about the league work, or even to retweet, anything. So can I see all hands go up, all paddles go up? Let's see this room filled with paddles. Oh my gosh, and can you say, vote louder with me? Vote louder. A little louder, please. Vote louder. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Barb. It's now my pleasure to introduce you to our host for today's program, Shirleen Allicot. We're delighted to welcome Shirleen back to our stage. I'm sure you all recognize Shirleen from her position as co-anchor of WABC-TV's Eyewitness News this morning and at noon. Shirleen is the perfect host today because she understands our honorees. She has embraced social responsibility in her life while balancing work, while being the mother of 3, and while apparently being an awesome chef. Please welcome Shirleen.
Thank you, Kai. I promise you I did not tell her to say that, the chef part. But if you followed me on Instagram or you watched our recent cooking competition, in which I won, I beat my co-anchor, but this is not just any co-anchor. He's somebody who studies, molecular gastronomy. He drops words like sous vide. He's comfortable using a torch, which is probably why I won. Yikes. But good morning. Good morning. How are we feeling this morning? Good, good, good. Welcome. Welcome to the League of Women Voters of the City of New York's 2023 Awards Breakfast. I'm Shirleen Allicot. I am honored to be your host yet another year. At its root, civics is about how we all live together regardless of socioeconomics. To do civics well, everyone needs exposure. And they need practice, just as we all do when we're learning a new recipe, trying to win a cooking competition. It takes practice. What the League is doing by offering to teach these civic workshops that Barb and Kai and Deb have mentioned, it's really important. Especially if you haven't been exposed to it in school. It is critical to our future in this country. It is bigger than all of us. It is so important, and I am honored that my company, WABC, sees the importance of supporting the work of the League and its continued quest to promoting voting and voting rights. The honorees chosen this year represent what the League stands for loudly and proudly, so I want to get the program started. I want to start to introduce all of you who have been honored. I'm so excited for each one of you. All right, here we go. So our first honoree is Celia Moreno. She currently serves as the social impact lead for Lyft. When Lyft recruited her in 2020, they realized her career and her resume were filled with social impact. In turn, she recognized the company's genuine commitment to corporate social responsibility. Celia manages the company's Lift Up social impact program that addresses transportation barriers for communities in need. It helps people get healthy food who live in areas with few options. It helps people get to job interviews and also transportation to those jobs until they get that first paycheck. It also includes voting access, a program that provides free and reduced rides during federal elections to ensure that transportation isn't the barrier to being able to vote. This started in 2016 as a pilot program, and now, under Celia's leadership, it is a nationwide program. Yes. In New York City alone, Lyft provided tens of thousands of rides to the polls in 2022. Lyft also utilizes its app to remind drivers, riders, and employees to register to vote and to vote. It provides links to election information, including the League's Vote 411 app. Celia has said that she personally uses the Vote 411 guide and turns to it as a source of truth. From the start of her career in San Francisco City Hall and through her work at several tech companies, Celia said she saw how technology leverages individuals to be able to really make a change. She believes that when technology is combined with social good, it can have a lasting positive impact on marginalized communities. The National League of Women Voters has recognized and partnered with Lyft. Please, when you get a chance, read Celia's full bio in our e-journal, and you can find that link in our program. She's extraordinary. And now if Celia could please come on up to the stage. The League of Women Voters of the City of New York would like to present you with your award.
Oh, wow. Oh, my goodness.
On behalf of the League of Women Voters of the City of New York, we congratulate you on the profound impact you've already made in your career, and we look forward to the many more ways that you will make change happen because of your leadership and vision. We present you with our Distinguished Service Award and this gift to commemorate your work.
Thank you.
Congratulations, Celia. You so deserve it. Our next honoree is Sarah LaFleur, the founder and CEO of MMLaFleur. If you are not very familiar with this label, they specialize in workwear, but they also designed beautiful dresses, like the one I'm wearing right now. MMLaFleur. MMLaFleur is a New York-based clothing brand celebrating women through thoughtfully designed pieces, personal styling, and engaging content. A true entrepreneur, Sarah founded MMLaFleur without any prior background in the fashion industry. I love this pivot. In her previous role as a management consultant, she found herself frustrated by a lack of women's workwear options that were both stylish and practical. Who doesn't want to be stylish and practical, right? So we thank you for that. In 2013, she teamed up with Miyako Nakamura, the former head designer of Zac Posen, and together they launched MM with a collection of 7 dresses. Since 2013, MMLaFleur has evolved into a multi-million-dollar business serving the style needs of working women around the country. Through it all, Sarah has remained true to MM's founding belief: the world is a better place when women succeed. One example of helping women succeed is through their relationship with Bottomless Closet, providing professional clothing for disadvantaged New York City women looking for a job. Fantastic. In 2020, MMLaFleur launched the groundbreaking Ready to Run initiative, in which they offered free clothing loans to any woman who is running for political office. Through their Ready to Vote, isn't that wonderful? Yes. Through their Ready to Vote initiative, they asked customers to snap photos of their I voted stickers to unlock special branded promotions and discounts. Pretty nifty idea. And they worked with the Girl Scouts to create special voting patches to help get out the vote. Beginning in April, MMLaFleur is teaming up with the League of Women Voters to promote civic engagement workshops at their New York City stores. When asked why she focused on voting, Sarah said that it was always part of her life. She said, now we call it civic engagement, but it was then just dinner table conversation. Sarah led the company's survival and growth through the devastating impact of the pandemic. Their success was based on their ability to evolve their product, to meet their customers' ever-changing lifestyles, from working from home to hybrid to returning to the office. This spring, MMLaFleur will celebrate the opening of its 3rd location in New York. A fun fact, take a look at the photo. Fun fact to share about Sarah is that in 2018, she and Miyako met Ruth Bader Ginsburg. Isn't that awesome? They were invited to design a custom jabot to celebrate her 85th birthday and 25th year on the court. Sarah has said it was the closest I ever came to meeting my personal God. No argument there. Starting her next decade in the business, Sarah is more focused than ever on making sure MMLaFleur is a brand committed to creating good in the world. In her 10-year plan, she has focused on sustainability and pledged to donate 10% of their yearly profits to organizations that support and promote the success of women. I am so honored to be wearing this dress for all the work that you do. And you can find Sarah's full bio in the e-journal as well if you want to learn more about her. And now, Sarah, if you can join us on the stage to receive your award.
Thank you so much.
The League of Women Voters of the City of New York, we congratulate you on your 10th year of business and for working to create a better and more equitable place for working women. We present you with our Distinguished Service Award. Congratulations.
Thank you. The most beautiful.
Congrats once again. Our next honoree is Keia Clarke, Chief Executive Officer of the New York Liberty. In fact, when she was promoted to CEO in 2020, she became New York Liberty's very first CEO in its history. The New York Liberty is New York City's first and only professional women's basketball team. Recently, women's sports has been making its presence felt, and Keia Clarke is one of those women driving this change. In 2019, when she was Chief Operating Officer, the team was purchased by Joe Tsai and Clara Wu Tsai. It was Keia who led the team's move from Westchester to their new home at Brooklyn's Barclays Center. was an incredible boost to the city and no easy task. Can you imagine during the pandemic? Also that year, Keia led negotiations with the Yes Network, resulting in the first time there had ever been a WNBA game on that network. And now, another first, they're going to be seen on ESPN. ESPN, owned by Disney, our parent company. The New York Liberty are not just being noticed on the court and seen on TV. Their voices are being raised off the court as well. In 2020, the WNBA formed the Social Justice Council to address inequality and systemic racism and to shed light for Breonna Taylor. The next year, the players wanted to mobilize to influence legislation and chose voting rights as their focus. Keia credits the players with charging ahead with this mission and says she is there to support them. Keia believes in giving people the tools they need to raise their voices. She said, "We are about women every single day, and it begins with the players." Keia now leads her team through tremendous get out the vote efforts, often partnering with the League of Women Voters. Keia also credits her fans with the energy and the desire to raise their voices. She describes fans who follow women's sports as a very independent group of thinkers and doers. Keia is also a doer herself, serving on 2 boards, the Women's Leadership Board of the Sports Innovation Lab and the Ladies of Hope Ministries, an organization providing support for women and girls who were impacted by the criminal legal system. She does a lot. She's also a mom of 2 and a busy woman, and she's incredible. Please see all the kudos Keia has earned from organizations such as Crane's New York Business and Sports Illustrated in her bio, in that e-journal I've been telling you about. Let's meet Keia. Keia, please join us on stage to receive your award.
On behalf of the League of Women Voters of the City of New York, we congratulate you for your extraordinary leadership of your team on and off the court. You give credit to so many others around you while you build the team that we wanted to take this moment to give you your deserved credit. We want to present you with our Distinguished Service Award and this gift to commemorate your work. Congratulations.
All right, they're going to remove the podium, and I'm going to go downstage. And this is an amazing opportunity to get to know these women, to understand why they're sitting here today. So we have a number of questions for you. It's not really going to be questions that are coming in from me. I might ask a softball to kick you off, but this is really your opportunity to step up and ask a question. We want to hear from you. So I wanted to ask this just to kind of start you off. Why did you say yes to being honored today? Any one of you who would like to start? Celia?
Sure. Hi, my name is Celia. Nice to meet everyone. First of all, I'm very honored to be here. I couldn't believe it when I got reached out. I was like, wow, what an honor. At first, I wasn't sure what to say. But I decided to accept it because I felt like the League of Women Voters is such a great organization, and I wanted to make sure that I continue to be involved with an organization that does such great, amazing work in New York City.
Fantastic. Sarah?
I would say that I think we at MMLaFleur have really, we're a clothing company, to your point, so what the hell does clothing have to do with voting? I think we get that question a lot, and when we decided to do that campaign where we said, anyone running for office, we will dress you, We thought maybe we'd have 100 applicants. We had 1,500 applicants within the first 24 hours. And we had women saying to us, you know, I live on the poverty line, I'm a single mom of 2 boys, and I think it's really important for the state legislature to include women like me. And clothing is a huge part of being on the campaign trail and feeling confident, and the fact that you're taking that worry away from me is really making a difference. And so, again, we're just playing our very, very small part in this, but to be honored by an organization like the League of Women Voters of New York City, it is truly our biggest honor. So thank you so much.
Yeah.
Yes. Good morning, everyone. You know, I would say on a personal level, I can't remember a time that my mother wasn't a poll worker. So the connection to voting, yeah, you know, in our home, the connection to voting, what it means to vote, how Black people achieve the right to vote is something that was always spoken about, and something that I've obviously read about and studied. So the significance and importance was always there. So I think that's really personal. So to align with an organization of this magnitude that does so much around the country, it made all the sense. From a professional standpoint, I would say I accepted on behalf of, you know, exactly what you teed up in the intro. This is about the players, it's about the fans, it's about our league, who really is a leader in a pioneering type way in terms of civic engagement. So on behalf of the W, on behalf of the Liberty, but everyone who wants to have an impact for people and New Yorkers, really, specifically in my case, this is for them. So thank you to all of you.
And the League has been doing this for more than 100 years. They have been integral to all that we have been able to accomplish, and the fact that we are recognizing you for not only what you say, but what you have been able to put into action, it really speaks to why you're sitting here today. I wanted to ask you, Keia, why did you choose civic engagement as an area of focus during last year's Liberty season?
Yeah, I think generally civic engagement has been at the center point. It's the DNA of the New York Liberty. The statue in our logo, the tenets that align with freedom and equality and equity, and really, you know, that little lady in the harbor lighting the torch for empowerment, we always tie that back to our brand identity. I think very specifically, though, this opportunity in terms of voting rights really came as a league-wide initiative. All WNBA teams had an opportunity to have impact, to provide resources to people and organizations that are doing the work, such as League of Women Voters. And the benefactor actually here in New York was A Little Piece of Light, an organization that actually was really helpful to women who had been impacted by incarceration, helping them to understand that you can vote, you can register to vote, and they were doing that for that specific community. So that's actually who we chose to work with. But really, it was a league-wide initiative. It was something that, you know, when we all lock arms and we're together, we're stronger for it, and we were just happy to be a part of it.
Celia, why would you say Lyft has chosen voting rights as a focus?
Yeah, that's an excellent question. So to take a step back, we actually look at voting rights and voting access as 2 distinct pieces of the voting architecture when we talk about what we do at Lyft. So voting came up because, as was pointed out in the slide, we looked at a study from 2016 that said that folks didn't go vote because they didn't have a way to get there. And so we decided to shape this program with our superpower, which is transportation. And so we decided to build a pilot that essentially tested, well, what would happen if we released coupon codes out into the public? How would that impact voting? And so we actually received really great feedback. We got a ton of interest. And so from there, we were able to say, okay, this is a really big need. We really care about it. How do we get leadership buy-in? How do we get folks to really get involved in this? How do we get young people involved? And so we decided to build out a campaign, which really grew in 2020. And this year, in 2022, even blew us away even further with the amount of people that reached out, the amount of rides that were provided throughout the country. It was over 100,000 rides were provided to support voters. We did voter registration. We decided to engage drivers. So all across the board, it was something that we really cared about and that really had a really strong proof point as to why we should continue doing this.
Fantastic, fantastic. So Sarah, you said it was dinner table talk as you discussed some of the ideas for your engagement with civics. You know, the borrowing, the loaning of dresses to, you know, political candidates. You said 1,500 signed up. How did that come up? How did that come up in conversation? Because you don't find a lot of clothing brands doing this.
Yeah, you know, I think what Keia said just really resonated with me. I do think my parents and my grandparents played a huge part in it. I actually grew up in Tokyo, Japan. I am an American citizen, but I was actually born in France. My dad worked for the State Department for almost 40 years, and I was stationed in France. And so I was an American by birth, but I actually spent most of my life abroad. And I think he so believed in the work he was doing. And, you know, I think we're at an interesting time in our country's history that he thought democracy and protecting democracy abroad, as kind of, you know, cliche as that sounds, that was really his life's work. And my grandfather actually on my Japanese side worked in politics as well, and so it really was just something that I heard, you know, growing up. And I think I have 3 small kids now. It's a lot of what I think about is, okay, it's so wonderful that you know, our organizations are stepping in to, I think, do more about civic engagement, but what can I do on a more personal level? Because I think that has really impacted me in the way I think about how I want to contribute to civic engagement.
Fantastic. And you've created a very inclusive brand as a result. Wonderful. For you, Keia, how can companies better encourage employees to vote internally? What is BSE Global, New York Liberty, doing in this area in particular?
Yeah, that's a very interesting question. When I think about the relationship between voting and elections in the workplace, it's almost non-existent at the beginning of my career, or even, you know, most recently. I think there were some pivotal moments when Hillary Clinton lost the election, more recently when George Floyd was murdered, where there was this almost, we were forced to have conversations because people were affected. They were showing up to try to do their jobs, but then they were upset, and it became like, well, what can we do? What can we do that's nonpartisan, but also support employees? And conversations were had and support was given, but I think little things, they seem small, but they add up. Reminding employees that, you know, this does not count against your PTO and you have time to go vote when elections are on. Also, you know, Barclays Center has been a polling station. I think if there's, you know, a way to demonstrate that your company supports and is about democracy, it's to actually open up your building and say, you know, we want to be a part of this so much that, you know, we want the community to be here. I think those are small nuances, but again, it's about the conversation and just the encouragement and safety of, like, you don't have to say who you're representing or what you're representing, but those things just sort of snowball, and then it turns into, well, what do we do in non-election years, and how are we impacting the community, and who are the people that we're working with? So I think that's a way that companies can support, and, you know, it's about providing resources, but just, you know, mnemonic devices and reminders.
Great. Aren't you guys a great example of that? Similar question for you, and I'll just say it again just to make sure that you remember. How do we convince companies that voting is a nonpartisan issue and to allow the league to help get their employees registered to vote, Celia?
That's a great question. And I think I would say, for me, from my experience working at Lyft and running these programs, it's really all about visibility and really getting yourself out there. So for Lyft specifically, I made sure that we were involved in all of the coalitions that really declared, you know, like time off to vote. Like, we provide time off to our employees to go vote. We signed up for Power the Polls. So how do we encourage, you know, folks to become poll workers and learn more about their civic duties? So we advertise that to employees, but also externally, put it out on all of our social channels. So really putting ourselves at the forefront of leaders voters as to say, like, look, we're doing this, who else is going to follow us? And it actually does create a ripple effect. We do get a lot of other inquiries from other companies, you know, to learn more about, well, how did you get started? Did you get any pushback? Like, what are some learnings and findings? And we're always more than happy to share, especially as, you know, we can't do this work alone. So we definitely want to make sure that we bring on as many other companies and folks that are interested to learn more about our process so that they can go on and execute their own programs.
Fantastic. Definitely a leader in that.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Same question for you, Sarah.
How can companies get involved?
Yes, how
in the
can
fight?
we encourage them to do this?
I think, so after the 2016 election, we sent out an email to our customers saying, hey, whatever side you were on, I think you were all surprised by election results last night, would love to engage in a discussion with you about it. And to be clear, we were getting ready to send a pantsuit email out. So, you know, we had to quickly take that down and send out a very different message. And it was quite extraordinary, the amount of responses that we got. I actually remember, I think we actually got more emails back than the New York Times to their call for responses. You know, I think a lot of women were just looking for an outlet saying, you know, here are all my thoughts. And we heard from everyone across the spectrum. And some of the responses were, you're a clothing company, why the hell are you getting involved in politics? Which is a response that we continue to get. And you know, my answer is it's all political. You know, every decision we make about, for example, our supply chain, with which factory do we do work? Are they, you know, upholding wage labor? Are we using a very clean, sustainable supply chain? Every single decision that we make, you may not want to think of it as political, but it is political. And so there's really no staying neutral in this. It's every day is a fight for the things that you believe in and the vision that you carry. So I think we're really trying to show our employees, yes, at the end of the day, we make our money by selling clothing, but every business decision that we make has massive impacts across the world, and to be conscious of those.
Absolutely. And I would love to know, the person who said that to you, why would you be getting into politics? There's nothing more political, visibly political, than clothing.
Yes.
And we've seen it time and time again, so I'm glad you put them in their place. I think we have a question from the audience.
Hi, everyone. I want to first thank you all for being here today. We really appreciate you taking the time and speaking with everyone. This is all great to hear. My question is, what advice would you give to young people to help engage them, get them out there to vote and participate more?
Whoever wants to take it. Celia?
Sure. Oh, okay. So this is actually a really funny question because, so I'm not on TikTok, but I do know that a lot of younger than me people are. And it was so interesting to see how that worked, right? Like the type of influencers that sort of are like create your own brand, and like the partnerships that went on with it and how they talked about the message was so interesting. But it made me really think about how curating the message can really work, and how really talking to particular audiences is the way to go. And so we can't create a one-size-fits-all approach to the work that we do. And so it really resonated with me to think about like how we talk to seniors, like how we talk to like our core group of users, and then also how we talk to young people, because Gen Z specifically has, you know, I feel like they're more politically active than even like millennials were. And so for me, it was like, how do we tap into that? And so my encouragement would be to make sure that you create messages and tailor the sort of objective in a way that reaches those audiences in ways that they care about, and in the spaces that they're, you know, that they sort of frequent, which in this instance was TikTok.
Do you want to repeat the question again?
Yes, the question was, what advice do you have for young people to help get more involved, to be engaged with the voting process, to get them out there?
Sarah or Keia?
Yeah, sure. I really think, I actually have met a few mother-daughter couples or mother-daughter attendees in the audience today, and I think that's amazing. I remember, again, my mom is Japanese, but my aunt, who's American, would actually take me out to various protests, even from a very young age. And, you know, I think I was like 5 or 6 years old when we went on our first protest, and I just thought it was a party. It was the most exciting thing to ever happen. And I think rather than saying like, oh, that's the thing that happens on TV, to be like, no, I'm actually here, I'm on the streets. That I think has massively influenced the way I think about civic engagement. And so that's just a small tip, but you know, take your daughter to protest, I guess maybe is the tip.
And your mom, she worked at polling locations, so you were exposed to it very early on too.
Yeah, and I guess I would add, as you know, a piece of advice, if you have an inkling or a desire to be involved, ask questions. There's so much information right at our fingertips in a way that wasn't there, you know, 20 or 30 years ago. But you know, when you raise your hand, people will listen, and I think it's never too early. That's the advice that I would give.
Fantastic. I love that. Yeah. Oh, we do. Hi, please, and please say your name.
Sure. I'm Karen Wharton, and congratulations on being recognized by the League of Women Voters today for your work. My question is, what do you say to people who believe that their votes don't count?
What do you say to people who believe your vote does not count? Celia?
I would say, well, one, that's not true. Flat out, that's not true. If you are mathematical, I would even break it down by numbers. I would say like there are races that literally come down to a few votes, so your vote absolutely matters, number one. Number two, I think I would also try to understand where's that feeling coming from. Is it a disillusionment with the systems? Like, is it like an understanding of how the process works? So just really digging deeper into what's behind that sentiment when folks express that. And then number three, I would actually, you know, encourage that person to also get civically involved in other ways that are different than just like going to the ballot and, you know, marking yes or no, because I think that also paints a broader picture as to like what actually entails with, like what actually civic engagement entails besides just going to the polls and just feeling more engaged with the whole process in general. So I think those three things.
I mean, that is truly a challenge when you know that some people truly innately feel this way.
Yeah.
And so how do you mobilize people? Because this is an election year. Next year is a pivotal election year. Yep. We've got to get people to the polls. And you guys are working hard to encourage and be an example as well. How do you break that mentality?
I am a really big believer in actually, you know, meeting people in person. And I think when it's happening on TV or, you know, it's just happening somewhere that's removed from you, it doesn't feel personal. And I think this is exactly the opposite of what Hillary Clinton said, but I'm a big believer in moving hearts, not minds. No disrespect to her, but I really think you have to emotionally move people to get out the vote. And so just encouraging people to actually meet their candidates, to actually ask them questions. And I think I am always surprised, especially at the local level, how many politicians really do want to meet with their constituents and hear from them, and it makes such a difference. So that is, I think, a lot of what we're focused on, where we want to put more spotlights on local candidates. We want them to come meet them face to face and really feel like, okay, this is a human being that I'm talking to. This isn't just, you know, some person collecting a check in Washington, D.C. that I will have, you know, no impact on.
Yeah, in terms of the players, I feel so many people, the fans are so inspired by them. They look up to them, especially with the work that they've done to raise awareness about Breonna Taylor and just showing that, you know, we need to stand up for a cause. I think that might be something that could break that feeling that your vote doesn't count.
Yeah, getting people fired up is great motivation, you know, and I think holding up a mirror to decisions that are made in your community that you might not agree with, disparities that may exist. I had a huge aha moment when I learned about the census and how so many people are reluctant to answer the census, but how heavily that affects the funding and the resources that appear in your community. And it's like, that had me charged up. I was all of a sudden on a soapbox telling all of my family and friends, did you answer the census? Did you do this? This is very important. I know you think it's not, but at times I think we're not really aware of the full effect, and that's how it could be perceived as my vote doesn't count. But when you have those stats, when you have those actual real life examples, like, you know, you in your X situation, how does this impact you? You better get out and vote. But it is like, you know, really getting under people's skin. The players, when I think about them, they were hurt and they were pissed off in the summer of 2016 when Black and brown people were being murdered by the police. That was the genesis. Like, it's now developed into voting rights and other initiatives, but at that point, it was just, how can I use my voice and raise awareness? And it's really just evolved from there.
That leads me to the next question. How do you feel about your players getting political? Because we saw what can happen, Kaepernick. I know you have a feeling about it, and what are your thoughts about your players getting involved in politics?
Yeah, you know, again, I'll go personal and professional. Personally, I'm for it. I don't think there was a time in professional sports where the athlete didn't want to stand up and use their voice. When you think about Muhammad Ali or Bill Russell or Billie Jean King, this has always been a part of sports. I think the modern day athlete, however, is doing it in a much different way. For one, there's a lot more concerted effort. You have whole teams and whole leagues and a social justice council in the W, and there's an initiative in the NWSL. So I think wanting to be smarter and more strategic about it, but really educating themselves. And that's where, you know, I say personally, I'm in favor of it. Professionally, it's about how can I provide resource? How can we as an organization support those ideas and really put into action some of these things? Again, you know, not leaning one way or the other, but if it's wrong, it's wrong. If it's right, it's right. And I don't think anyone would want to stand on the other side of that story.
Fantastic. Hi, can you introduce yourself?
Hi, my name is Maya, and I had a question about the WNBA. The WNBA was one of the first leagues I remember seeing players protest. It was the Atlanta Dream protesting Kelly LaFleur. I think it was 2018. So what does, you know, getting WNBA games on YES and on ESPN do for the visibility and impact of the players' message?
Yeah, awareness is very important to our league. It's grown exponentially over time, and I'm so happy that you, as a younger person, you know, remember the 2018 protest. But I, you know, just recalled 2016 is really when I saw, and I've been involved with the league for a really long time, players really take a stand and decide to use their voices. And the more that can be amplified, the better. I think a really great example is during the bubble season, or the wubble season in the WNBA. It was the first time all of the players were together, and they were meeting, to my knowledge, alone, just players only at first, and then they were garnering support from the WNBA. I've used the league a few times, and I realized the league means something different in this room. I was referring to the WNBA when I said the league a few times. You know, with the W, that league level support, a league that is willing to say, we support you. We will go to our partners. We will air this on television. And the WNBA's dedication of that season to Breonna Taylor and bringing justice to her family, and her name being on the back of every jersey, is monumental. It's pivotal. It's a tree falling in the forest if those games weren't on television, or if the media doesn't cover it, or if stories aren't written. So I think it's very, very important for there to be heightened awareness and a lot of eyes on everything that's being done.
Fantastic. A personal friend of mine is a designer by the name of Sophie TLA, and there was a time when she became political and decided that she was not going to dress the First Lady, Melania Trump. She made that statement, an emphatic one, and she received a lot of backlash. Where would you draw the line in terms of politics?
Oh my gosh, I feel like I'm in my board meeting right now. And I will tell you, it is hotly contested even amongst, my board members who I respect so much. And I do think I kind of just do whatever I can sleep with at night. I mean, we have dressed women on both sides of the spectrum and political spectrum. And even when we did this campaign, I think it was very intentional for us to say, we're going to dress women regardless of your political affiliation, partly because I just wanted more women to be in politics. But it is a really good question, and at times I have drawn the line. The abortion debate is one that I would say some of my board members don't want me to touch with a 10-foot pole. At the end of the day, it is a cause that is very personal to me, one that I care a lot about, reproductive rights, and so I've kind of chosen to ignore. Right, but I think it is really case by case. I wish I could say there was some sort of sweeping statement I could make here, but for me, at the end of the day, it feels very personal, and I really do try to follow my instincts here and say I got to do the thing where, 40 years from now, I can look back on it and say, yep, that's a decision I could live with.
Fantastic. Was there ever a moment in which Lyft felt that they had to be very measured in their civic engagement and the profile that they've put out there with supporting voting rights?
Yes, yes. And I will say that it varies, right? So we also take sort of an issue that comes up and we decide whether or not we're going to respond. And I think taking a page from Keia's playbook, if it's personal, right, I'm like, yes, definitely, right? I definitely agree with that. However, when it comes to the business and, board members we have to respond to, and we're a public company and we have to deal with elected officials on all sides of the aisle, we have to be very careful. But at the end of the day, I feel like we do take decisions that are right. And so one of them was like specifically coming out in support of voting rights and the John Lewis voting rights. A lot of organizations were like, we're not signing on to that. We were like, well, we do. We've already made a pledge to the communities we care about, and this is what they want, and so this is what we're doing. With voting, so we actually have heard from a lot of our coalition partners that in 2022, even getting folks to register to vote was seen as a partisan issue, which to us was like, that's insane, that everyone should get out to vote, everyone should even register to vote regardless of where they are. And so we were hearing a lot of, from our partners, that a lot of corporate partners were actually stepping back and deciding not to participate in 2022, and even deciding that they might not participate in 2024. So we are we're being even more vocal about our support, about our partners, and then coming out even stronger with our messaging.
Wow. Does anyone have any other questions?
You asked some good, tough questions there.
Come on. Come on, Portia. I know you have a question. Don't put me on the spot.
Got one over there. Got a question.
Hi. What's your name?
My name is Tara Piesh. Thank you for all the panelists and honorees today and for hosting as well. My question is, you're all in management or owners of various sized organizations. What advice would you give for people who aren't at the management level to effectively communicate any civic engagement concerns they might have? Is it surveys? Is it open discussions? I think a lot of times we hear that management says, well, I didn't even know that was an issue. I don't doubt that, right? Because it is intimidating sometimes to express issues. So what advice would you give, or what was effective to you? Was it an email from an employee? Was it, over a drink or a coffee? I think that would be really helpful for people to learn what you as leaders resonated with you.
That's a great question. Do you engage your employees? I mean, how does the everyday citizen get involved?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I think that's two pieces. So internally, so I work at a tech company, so we have Slack, and everyone can find me on Slack. And believe me, people message me all kinds of things all day, every day. So it's not. I think specifically in my role, and I think specifically within the tech industry and all the companies I've worked at, it's been. I'm not going to say it's flat because it's definitely not flat, but I will say that there is a lot of accessibility to leaders. There is a lot of accessibility to me. People can reach out at any time, and they do. And so I think that we at my company specifically, they've created a culture, like a really strong feedback culture. So where if folks don't like something that we did, we hear about it. If folks do, we hear about it. We send out emails. There are opportunities to engage us during our team meetings. There's a lot of different ways that we kind of open ourselves up to just engaging all types of different audiences. Externally, we get a lot of our feedback through our partners. So we don't have a direct connection to our constituents, but we do work directly with a lot of organizations that are on the ground that say, they didn't like this specific thing, or, this particular program doesn't work for our communities. Can you tailor it in this way? So whatever we can do, we bring that back to our product teams and we try to iterate. Things are not always as quickly as we'd like, the changes are not as quickly as we'd like for them to come. However, we do try to take in a lot of the feedback that we do get either from communities or from employees.
Which is why you have a partnership with the league, right?
Exactly.
They're your voice
Yeah.
and your eyes. What about you, Sarah?
I was just going to say, the meetings that have had the most impact on me, and again, our business is relatively smaller, much smaller than Lyft, for example, but the personal conversations, I have employees kind of block time on my calendar and we have 30 minutes of coffee, and I find that to be, in many ways, much more effective. I think email can get misconstrued a lot, and I think, I guess I'm just speaking as a manager, sometimes you feel like you've been put on notice when really you want to be there to learn and hear and understand. And so if you can, I think that coffee goes a long way. And then the other thing I think we've seen definitely happen at MMLaFleur is there's a lot of self-organizing, and then you see that if we have resources for employee interest groups, and so when you see that there is enough momentum and then there's a coalition building around that, as employers right now, the labor market is so tight. You have a lot of power. It is in our interest to engage you, not just professionally, but I think also emotionally and spiritually, and to find more touch points in the company to let you do that. So I would say you have a lot of power, and I think there's a lot that can be done to get your leaders to listen up.
Awesome. What about the fans? New York Liberty has some die-hard fans. Do you create a lot of opportunities to engage them and to hear their feedback?
Yeah, it's a really good question. We probably could do a better job at making it a two-way conversation. A lot of it is coming from the organization, driven by players or driven by our brand identity. So it's actually something that I'm thinking about while sitting on this stage. I think from an employee standpoint, we have employee resource groups at BSC Global, and a lot of the ideation and questions or interests often come from those groups, those affinity groups that are coming together and really together making their voices louder. I think on our team, which is a part of a larger portfolio, I have a really open door policy where people I think feel comfortable to share ideas and to ask questions. But probably even thinking through it right now, we could do a better job of soliciting more actionable ideas versus especially in pro sports, there's an expectation that we are going to comment on certain things. But what happens after the comment? We're really blessed that there are entire departments of people who are focused on this work, and they do it well. They're doing it on behalf of the Nets, they're doing it on behalf of the Liberty, and it's across the board for everything at our company. But in those moments where there's a statement and everybody's putting out a statement, a lot of the internal dialogue is, well, what are we doing afterward? What is going to happen next year, and the year after, and the year after, to really try to impact change. But I think we can do better is really my answer to making it a two-way conversation with fans.
A very thoughtful leader. Thank you for that.
Sorry to interrupt.
Thank you.
we want to thank another and acknowledge another VIP in our audience today. Please welcome one of New York's longest-serving U.S. representatives, the first and only woman to serve Brooklyn as District Attorney of Kings County, and New York City as Comptroller. A huge supporter of the League, an active participant. She's run for many, many things. Liz Holtzman. Liz, would you mind saying a few words?
Thank you so much. What an impressive, amazing panel. Congratulations to all of you, and thanks for the wisdom you supplied. What a wonderful moderator. What a wonderful League of Women Voters, and what a wonderful audience. So congratulations to all of you for being here, for supporting it. I'm a beneficiary of the League of Women Voters. You don't know it. League never knew it and didn't do it intentionally. But you know, one of the things you do is to educate voters. And when I first ran for Congress, nobody gave me a chance in the world. We didn't have any money. We didn't have any political support. All we had was grassroots. Nobody understood that. But the League sponsored a debate, and it was a very rainy day, so people stayed home, and they watched it. And they saw me and my opponent, and I won. And by the way, I won by 635 votes. So I want to go back to, does your vote count? It counts, and we've seen races recently where there's just one vote.
Yeah.
So please, please, please do it. And one other thing I want to say is we can really make a difference by electing people in office and holding their feet to the fire and telling them about our problems. Open door. Constituent came to me once with a problem. I didn't really understand. It was a medical health problem. And it led to, because I followed through with her doctors, it led to the creation of a special program to create drugs for rare diseases, which has produced medicines for rare diseases nobody would ever have dealt with before, but because someone came in. So make your voice heard. Get people to the polls, get people elected, and hold their feet to the fire, tell them your problems, and make sure they follow up. And that's a formula for how making democracy work. Thank you so much for all that you do. Keep up the good work.
I think so, yeah. Oh, I guess I get to thank everybody. Thank you so much on behalf of the League of Women Voters of the City of New York for coming out today. Thank you so much for raising your paddles, for committing to voting louder. And thank you so much to all of our honorees for what you do in each of your organizations to ensure that your employees, your customers, your fans are heard and that their voices are heard. That's what we're about, ensuring that every citizen of New York has a voice, that their voice is heard. Please ensure you tell your friends and family, vote louder. And thank you once again for coming out this morning. Thank you.